A few years ago, 2 years ago or so, Veritasium put out a YouTube video stating that no one has ever measured the one-way speed of light. In fact, let's just listen to him tell it.
Okay.
What if the speed of light in this direction is different from the speed of light in this direction?
Then that sounds like a Veritasium video.
The question is, could you figure it out? The kind of crux of this problem is that the only way people have managed to measure the speed of light is for a round trip. No one's ever managed to measure the speed of light in just one direction. It's possible that the speed of light is half of c in one direction and then instantaneous on the return journey.
What?
That's possible.
Are you serious?
So basically, Veritasium's saying to measure the speed of light, everyone's always put up a mirror on one side, shot a beam of light to the mirror, lights come back, and then they measure it. So they're measuring basically both directions at once. Hypothetically, this is a hypothetical, the speed of light is different in each direction. Now I know there's 3 dimensions of directions. For the sake of this, we'll just think of it as 2 directions opposing each other. In the extreme case. And his extreme case is instantly versus half of c. Makes sense, I guess. So I've thought of this and I've come up with 4 solutions. I'm actually quite proud of this one. This is the first idea popped into my head. And it has to do with a thing called gravitational lensing. So basically, there could be a star really far away, and we shouldn't be able to see it because it's blocked by some other celestial body. Something's in the way. What happens is the gravity of these celestial objects bend the light. So if we look at the thing blocking the star and we look just to the side of it, we actually see light coming through from the star and we can see the star. That's the concept of gravitational lensing. Now, my thought is, if it's gravity that's bending the light, gravity is a force, generally meters per second squared. It has to do with time. How long is the light in that gravitational field has some bearing on how much it bends. So, if the light was traveling at an infinite speed in the opposite direction, then in the opposite direction, we wouldn't see any gravitational lensing at all, and we wouldn't be able to see the object. So, one theory is, if we think there's some difference in the speed of light in different directions, we can look into space in various directions and see the amount of gravitational lensing that we observe, and we can use the gravitational lensing to infer the speed of light. Problem solved. But I have 3 other ideas. Second one's sort of related to this, but there's a chance it breaks the theory of Einstein's general relativity. Einstein's theory of general relativity. You've probably heard the stories. Einstein looked out the window, saw a window washer, imagined him falling, was delighted by this thought because in the frame of reference to someone falling, they're weightless, and that's the same as someone in space. Likewise, anyone standing on Earth is experiencing a force 9.8 meters per second, so if this rocket has a force of 9.8 meters per second, in your frame of reference, it's imperceptible. You wouldn't know the difference if you're in a rocket or standing on Earth. Let's say you're actually in space, inside this rocket, and you're accelerating. The rocket is accelerating through space, and you're inside of it. One of the ideas is, if you shoot a beam of light out of a flashlight, and you're accelerating, you will see the light sort of bend. If you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. So the idea is, if the speed of light is different in different directions, if you shine a flashlight at each wall opposing each other, extreme case, speed of light's infinite, it'll be a straight line to hit the wall, and anything not infinite, you will observe bend down a little bit. Because technically the light's still going straight, but because you're accelerating through space, it'll bend down. Why would this break the theory of general relativity, because if this frame of reference is on a planet, you would expect the same thing on either side. Kind of due to the same reasons as the gravitational lensing. Okay, so yes, this is another sort of mind experiment as to how you could, I say observe, but speed of light goes so fast, it's just a mind experiment, how you could show that light is different or the same at in different directions. Okay, this next one is an experiment. It's probably possible, but maybe there's some weird reason why it wouldn't work. Refractive indexing. As we all know, or maybe we don't, light goes slower through water. So let's think about this with the extreme case. Let's say to the right, light goes instantly, and to the left, half speed. Let's look at the top one first. If light goes instantly through the air, it will hit the first mirror, and then it backtracks through at a slower speed. So if light going to the right is infinite, the top experiment would give us a measurement of the speed of light in water in the left direction. Where in the bottom experiment, if going to the right is infinite, even if it's slower in water, it's still infinite. So light would go infinite to the right, and then we would only get the measurement of light moving through air to the left. You would think these should give an equal result if the speed of light's the same in both directions, but if the speed of light is different in both directions, you would end up with a different measurement for the speed of light on this experiment. Not sure if I explained that well enough, but it's a mind experiment. If you are actually interested in this and you're thinking about it, that's what's important. My last one, this is another one that might be doable. Fizeau experiment. This is one of the first ways that they actually measured the speed of light, but they did use a mirror. The original experiment had a gear with a bunch of teeth, and it spun really fast. And they would shine a light through the gear, way off into the distance, I believe it was 8 kilometers. There's a mirror, the light bounced back. Based on the speed that the gear was turning, and how long it took the light to go 8 kilometers and back, 16 kilometers, the gear would have rotated about the distance of half a tooth. So if there's a gap where the teeth were, now the light came back and hit the tooth and was blocked completely. And then they could take the distance that the light traveled and how fast the gear was turning to figure out how long it took the light to go there and back. It's just based on, rotating a gear. The modified version I come up with, let's say your gear itself is 8 kilometers long. Then you have a little channel in the teeth where you can shine light. So if the gear's not spinning, you can shine light through the channel of the teeth of the gear. But then, let's say you start spinning that gear really fast. And you can see in my picture, I have a flashlight at both ends. So let's say in one channel of the teeth of the gear, you've got light going one direction. The other channel, you got light going a different direction, the opposite direction. If light is traveling different speeds in different directions, you will reach a speed of the gear turning where you'll completely block the light one way, but the direction where the light's going faster, it'll still come through. And if the light gets blocked out at the same time, then you'll know light goes the same speed in both directions. You know what? I'll go through them again real quick. Gravitational lensing, different directions. Light may bend differently around planets. Einstein's general relativity. If you're accelerating through space and you shine light one way, you may see it bend differently than if you shine it the other direction. Refractive indexing. You could use the difference in speed of light in a setup similar to this to see if light actually travels a different speed in different directions. And the Fizeau experiment. If you make the gear really long, with his experiment. Instead of relying on one gear and a mirror, you just have a really big gear, really long gear. You could do it. Yeah. So Veritasium, if you ever see this, those are my ideas to get the one-way speed of light.